Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since you've been asking me to make a video about taxes in Italy and talk a little bit about the tax system and my own experience. And surprisingly, I found out that there aren't as many videos as I expected on YouTube or otherwise on the internet, from the expat viewpoint, explaining taxes in Italy. Probably I shouldn't really be that surprised because taxes are quite complicated here, but also I think, there are pretty much anywhere. And yeah, sometimes, it takes a lot to understand the system, and even some Italians find them complicated. But I have some experience with it, especially being self-employed, so I decided to talk a little bit about my experience and about what I know about the taxes. However, guys, I am not a consultant. I cannot give you legal advice. I cannot give you financial advice. So take it just as a blueprint, in terms of what to expect. But do seek professional advice if you're planning to work in Italy, be self-employed, or start a business, or even as an employee. This is absolutely necessary. But yeah, I will just share my experience and my tips and something that I had to deal with. Without further ado, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button if you like this video, if you like this topic, and if you want more videos like this one, and let's get started. Being self-employed in Italy means essentially the same thing that it means anywhere else in the world. You are responsible for paying your own taxes and social contributions. You can do it in many different ways, but the main thing is when registering as a self-employed person, you will have to obtain your partita IVA, which is basically your VAT number. And, I think this is the same passage anywhere else. And I feel like so many people have misconceptions about the partita IVA and feel scared of obtaining it even. But the main thing, that is not exactly the main topic of today, but the main thing that I wanted to let you know is that if you're planning to look for a job in Italy, not as a self-employed or a business owner, but as an employee, keep in mind that some employers sadly take advantage of the precarious job situation and job market in Italy and require the people to be registered as self-employed and have the partita IVA while working full-time on, the full-time work conditions. This is very, very toxic and technically can even be illegal. Now, back to the talk about taxes and being self-employed in Italy. There are two main modes in which you will have to pay the taxes in Italy if you are self-employed. And one of the modes is the so-called light mode, called regime forfettario in Italian, and it will grant you the possibility to pay 5% tax on your income for the first 5 years, after which the tax percent will rise to 15% of your whole income. And to be eligible for this light mode, you will have to meet certain criteria. As in, it will have to be the first time you're registering as a self-employed person in Italy, so you can't be having partita IVA before, and you will also have to limit, you'll have to stay under 85,000 euros of your annual income, and then you also need to meet certain criteria based on your previous work arrangements, work contracts, and also your previous annual income. But if you meet all these criteria, you can apply for this light mode, which is beneficial in some cases and might not be so good in other cases based on your situation, and now I will explain you why. If you're not qualified for the light mode, you will have to register under the regular normal mode, and in that case, the percent of taxes you're paying will depend on your income and will increase progressively the more money you make, starting from 23% on your income and arriving up to 43% of your income if your annual income surpasses 75,000 euros. Then there are different brackets in between, of course. But, it is not really as scary as it sounds, because under the light mode, you cannot detract anything. So any expenses, you will have to bear them yourself. Under the regular normal mode, also called regime ordinario in Italian, you will be able to detract certain expenses. So based on, all these details, you will see if it makes sense for you to apply for the light mode or the regular mode, because you will have some benefits under the regular mode, even though you'll be paying more taxes technically. Now, the thing that pains me the most personally is the amount of social contributions that we're paying. Don't get me wrong, I get what I'm paying for, but still, on average, people will pay about 26% of their income in social contributions in Italy. And guys, that's a lot. And let me explain you why. Because even if you are under the light mode, like myself, you will be paying 5% of your taxes on your income and then extra 26%. So you actually end up paying 31% in taxes. And then if you're under the regular regime, you will be paying even more. But still, something that you will have to know about and you will have to pay for if you're planning to be running any kind of business here. The good news, though, is that in many cases, you will not be paying taxes on the 100% of your income, and only a portion of your taxable income will be taxed. In order to understand this system, you will need to choose the right code for your activity. So every activity, every kind of activity, whether you are an artist or social media manager, teacher, like a freelance teacher or something, you will have to obtain this code for your activity or activities. You can have several activities linked to your partita IVA, and based on this code, you will be able to determine the amount of your income that will be taxed. So in my case, for example, for my social media work, I pay taxes on 78% of my social media income. But for my teaching gigs, for example, only 67% of my income is taxable. So, it depends. And to understand the code, to determine the code rightly, you will need the commercialista, which is like a tax consultant here in Italy. And this person will help you determine the code, obtain it, register as a self-employed person, and will also help you with, paying your taxes on time and other stuff. Now, this is where things get even more expensive. Guys, hear me out. On average, people in Italy, self-employed people in Italy, spend at least 1,000 euros per year on their commercialista. That is on top of all the taxes and all the expenses like admin fees and everything. So yeah, that costs a lot. On one hand, having a dedicated commercialista gives you some peace of mind, that you can refer to this person with any questions. But on the other hand, if you're a small business owner, if you are a freelancer, especially if you're a freelancer, it may weigh on you quite a lot financially. So there is an option to save some money in this case. If you speak Italian and are willing, just at least some Italian, and are willing to do some work yourself, you can go to the special tax center, tax consultant center here in Italy called CAAF CGIL. Italians usually refer to it as CAF simply, and don't ask me what all these letters stand for, I have no idea. But in these centers, you can get your tax consultation, but you can also register as a self-employed person. You can pay your taxes. You can get all the help that you need if you're willing to put in a little work, and it will be free of charge. The only expenses you will have to bear are the actual administrative fees, the fee for registration, paying the taxes and everything. I think the fee for registering, if I remember correctly, is something about 120 euros that you pay one time to get registered as a self-employed person. And then every year you will have to pay around 200 euros to file your taxes, on top, of course, of all the taxes that you have to pay. So it is definitely cheaper than hiring a commercialista, because in this case, guys, you will only be paying these administrative fees, not the commercialista fee. And in many cases, I know, in my experience at least, the people working there were quite nice and really, really helpful. They walked me through all the processes, answered all my questions, explained me how to create invoices, because in Italy you're required to create electronic invoices. So I was explained all the things, and given advice, and I can email them with any questions. And I really find it helpful. So yeah, one of the things could be this option. However, if you're planning to open an actual business and hire people and, run a more complex business operations, this will probably not work. In this case, you will have to hire a commercialista, dedicated person who will help you with your business. But if you're a freelancer like myself, you can save some money. And that's it, guys. I hope that this video was helpful. I feel like there are so many myths surrounding being self-employed in Italy, and some people who are not familiar with the system make it sound worse than it actually is. It is not as scary as it may sound. I mean, like, yeah, the tax system in Italy is complicated, and the first time I had to issue an electronic invoice, I spent like 2 hours on it, and I was almost crying by the end of it, but I managed to do it, and I know that you can do it too, guys. And with time it just gets easier and you get used to the things, and there are options to save some money, and there are options to navigate the whole tax situation wisely, because at the end of the day it's not really that different than in other countries. It is really not, guys. The amounts might differ, but other than that, it's the same processes, and I think it's not really that bad. So yeah, let me know if there is anything else that you'd like me to cover, like the job market or jobs in general, or businesses and being self-employed and stuff, or any other topics regarding the expat life. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. I wish you all a wonderful day ahead.